Transfer deadline day and the days around it was extremely busy for Luton Town. We brought in 2 players and also let a lot of players go in the summer transfer window. In today's video, I'm going to discuss those players that have left and also brought in, and yeah, give you guys my overall opinion on those signings. So let's talk about the 2 players that have come in. The first player which Luton Town brought into the club was Menji, finally a centre half. I've been dying for a centre half to be signed by Luton. We lacked a little bit of depth in those positions. Also, we've got a few players currently injured in those areas, and I felt we were quite weak in general. So bringing in another centre half in was a very good positive. I wanted another centre half in because I felt we lacked a bit of Premier League experience at the back, but it weren't meant to be, and I will talk later on in the video about maybe a tactical change that could potentially happen going forward. But we managed to bring in a centre half from Manchester United. Menji was on loan at Birmingham last year. I think he's had a few injury problems so far in his career, maybe like a few hamstring injuries that have happened, but it's still someone. He's fit, he's ready to go. He's had 2 weeks now, well, he's going to have 2 weeks now as it's international break with the players to get better and form good relationships with. He's powerful, he's a quick centre half, and I'm really excited to see how we improve him, and he's definitely one for the future. I can definitely see him beating someone that maybe his value, which we got for him, was a little bit low, but we can turn that into a high amount of profit. We just need to coach him really well. But I'm really excited to see what he can potentially do going forward. He likes being that right-sided centre-half in a back three. He mentioned that in his interview, and he has a good attitude. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in a Luton shirt. And the next signing which Luton Town made, which was a bit of a shock to a lot of people, including myself, was Menji Lokonga from Arsenal on a season-long loan. Now, Menji Lokonga is someone who spent on loan at Crystal Palace previously, and he is someone who I had a few messages from a few of my friends going, how have you pulled that off? Now, Lokonga, for me, really does excite me. He is a defensive midfielder who provides competition for Nakamba. And it makes me think that we may be changing a tactical formation going forward, because this isn't someone who you can play on the bench. This is someone who we've got to play. You know, we've got him on loan from Arsenal. Arsenal want to see him playing week in, week out and developing and, you know, getting better. So I can see him definitely starting, but I can't see us dropping Nakamba as well. So I actually do think that potentially those 2 players will be playing going forward, protecting either a back 3 or a back 4, which I actually do think it's going to be a back 4, but those are just my predictions. But yeah, Lokonga, to pull someone like that off is a really good thing for Luton. It just shows you the high profile of types of players we can bring in. Some people may say there's a reason why he's joined Luton. Now, from what I've gathered, he just needs to add consistency to his game. Not having a good game in every 3, he just needs to add that consistency. And if he can find that consistency at Luton, then he can definitely be a really good player going forward for Arsenal, and obviously potentially play first team football for Arsenal there. So we've already spoken about 2 players that have come into the club. Now let's talk about the players that have left. One fan favourite, Rea and Campbell, has obviously left Luton to join on loan at Millwall for the rest of the season. Now, this has caused a little bit of a divide. My overall thoughts is he doesn't fit Edwards' style of football. He isn't an Edwards signing, he was a Nathan Jones signing, and he done extremely well under Nathan Jones. Now, Rea and Campbell, hard-working midfielder, I've got nothing to fault him. You know, I really don't. If I was to pick out something, it would be his attacking contributions that he needs to work on. But everything else about him, I really do love, and I wish him all the best at Millwall. I just don't think he just fits our system. He really doesn't. And he was already, what, 6th, 7th choice. You know, as a player, you want to play football. You want to play him, week out. And I don't think Edwards was going to turn to him to get us out of trouble. So I wish Rea and Campbell all the best at Millwall. I do think he'll play week in, week out over there. And, you know, if he does extremely well and, you know, he gets a lot of clubs alerted, we can then sell him on for a profit. So it does go in our favour a little bit as well. So I wish Rea and Campbell all the best, but there was a reason for it, and I just don't think he suits the style of football which Edwards likes to play. The next player which also went out on loan is Dion Pereira. I'm shocked that this guy hasn't left the club yet. He's getting to the point now, he's middle age, 25, and yeah, he needs to leave the club, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I think he must be out of contract in the summer, and I can definitely see him being released. He's on loan at Sutton. You're 25 years old now, still on loan at League 2 clubs. It's not exactly someone who's going to be one for the future here at Luton. He was on loan at Bradford the season before, well, the last 2 times now. We've not seen enough progression, any potential from him yet, and I just can't see him having a future. So he's on loan at Sutton for the rest of the season, so I wish him all the best. Admiral Musway has also gone out on loan. He's on loan in League One to Exeter. He was on loan in League One last season at Fleetwood, and he didn't have the best of loan spells there, and because of that reason we ended up recalling him back in January, and he hasn't featured in the squad since. I'm a little bit gutted for him because when we first signed him, I thought he was a player that could become a really good player for us. He was very direct, very good at dribbling, you know, always causing problems, gets you on the edge of your seat. But we haven't seen it here at Luton, and I don't think the system and the style of play which we like to do here at Luton fits him. And I felt we saw a lot of that. He didn't really step up in the Championship. We sent him out on loan to League One, hasn't done well there. And then we sent him back out on loan to League One to Exeter to hopefully to see him try and do well in League One again and eventually let him go. I just don't see him having a future here at Luton Town. We just needed someone to get off the wage bill a little bit and yeah, just go out and play football and just, you know, show the world what you can actually do. Louis Watson also went out on loan. He went out on loan to Charlton for the rest of the season. Now, I'm a little bit annoyed about this move because Charlton don't have, well, they've only just appointed a manager. And when Charlton signed him, they didn't have a manager. What really annoys me is he may not actually play much football and he may not be what the manager wants. So I feel a little bit sorry for him. He should have gone to a club that's, you know, the manager actually wants him. Now I know that a manager, him being the manager for the rest of the season isn't a guarantee, but you want the manager who's tried to sign you to be there, you know, to actually be present, not someone who isn't there. You know, if Michael Appleton, who's probably linked to be the new Charlton boss, goes, I don't like Louis Watson, then we're going to end up recalling him in January and then sending him out back on loan again. So I really hope he does get some playing time because I just feel like that loan deal shouldn't have been done without a manager present. And the last player that also went out on loan was a player called John McAtee, who we've signed from Grimsby. He played in pre-season and has impressed, but he has been put out on loan. And some fans were like, oh, we wish we gave him a go. League 2 to Premier League is a massive jump. He wasn't amazing last season in League 2 because of injuries, but he's now on loan in League 1, a league which he hasn't played before, and he is on loan at Barnsley. Now, he's already scored, so he's off to a good start, so fair play to him. He needs to have an extremely good season in League 1 to be ever considered to be playing for us in the future. He's still young, he's still learning, but there's a one for the future there if he proves himself in that division and does extremely well. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. But is he ready for Premier League? No, I don't think so. And finally, let's talk about the 2 players that have been released from the club. So the first one is Matt Macey. Matt Macey was a player we signed because of our goalkeeper troubles the season before, and we just didn't want another problem where our goalkeepers are currently injured. So we signed a former player in Matt Macey. He then played against Newport in the Cup. He was awful in that game, and then I think we signed Ethan Horvath soon after or just before. And yeah, Ethan Horvath, the rest is history, you know, won us promotion to the Premier League. Matt Macey ended up going out on loan to Portsmouth last season, and I think he actually impressed, but I don't know why he hasn't gone back there. But yeah, we've let him go. He isn't going to play. We've got James Shea, you know, you've got Tim Krul, got Kaminski, you know, you've got Jack Walton, who's on loan at Dundee in Scotland. So yeah, goalkeeper department, we're fine, we're secured. And yeah, Matt Macey wasn't good enough anyway. And yeah, there was a lot of question marks over the signing originally, but he has now left the club. Wish him all the best. And the last player, which we are going to talk about, is Glenn Rea. Gutted for Glenn Rea to go, but it was time. League 2, he was amazing. League 1, he was good, and then he got injured, unfortunately. He done his ACL. Came back when we were in the Championship. He was pivotal in our staying up in the Championship. We improved massively when he came back from injury. You know, he sat in front of the defence and he done his job extremely well. I remember the game against Nottingham Forest. There was a massive difference when he was in the team. And for me, without Glenn Rea being back in the side, I don't think we would have stayed up. His impact was really good. And yeah, Nathan Jones, when he came back, obviously played him regularly, but then he didn't really step up or got to that level again. And then he had two more further, I think he had one more further big injury in his career. He's still young, he's still like 27, you know, coming to 28 years old, but he just couldn't get back into the team. He went out on loan to Cheltenham last season and done extremely well in League One. For me, he's a League One player at least, and I think he'd be a very good signing for any League One or League Two club who try and pick him up. I'm looking forward to seeing where he ends up next, but you know, he was part of our journey from League Two all the way to the Premier League, and yeah, it's sad to see someone like that go. He's proper Luton, he gets us, he understood us, what we were all about, and I wish him all the best. Those are my thoughts, guys, on all the transfers that happened a couple of days around the transfer deadline day. Sorry it was late, I've been really busy with work, but yeah, we're back, and yeah, those are my thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next video.